gentlemen. This is Soul Politics. I'm your host, Alexander Kemp. There seems to be a enormous amount of outrage today because of the releasing of the videotape. Well, really not because of the releasing of the videotape, because the videotape depicts an assassination of a young man in Chicago at the hands of a police officer. I believe that with the visual being provided, it has added to the rage that everyone has had over the abuse of power instituted by police officers and the protections that they receive under the course of law. That makes it very hard for black people to get justice, or anyone to essentially get justice, in the fact that they are murdered or killed or abused or have their rights violated by police officers. So it was on the top of my mind. Obviously, it's a current event. Obviously, it's the top topic of the day. So it wasn't something I wanted to discuss by myself, because I always want to get an alternate view of a situation, or just in general. I don't like to just base my ideas off of my own opinions, because a lot of times you allow emotion to be present, and I like to remove emotion and have a legitimate dialogue. I think this is a big problem in our society, that we can't have conversations without emotion. It'll be one of the points I always focus on whenever I speak, because I believe that when you're angry, when you have something going on inside of you, you should not then present whatever comes out of your mouth as a depiction of your truth, because it is a compromised truth, because you have emotion tied to it. So always try to get an alternate narrative from someone who might have a different mindset, but a beneficial demeanor to allow you to express yourself without you using rage to carry the day. So I reached out to my uncle. He's been a mentor of mine for a while, really my whole life. He's a really intelligent man, and he just has a great view and perspective on things in society. And I figured we'd be able to get to some form of a dialogue, or to spark some ideas, so people can start having a real dialogue about ways to actually get out of this swamp that we seem to be treading in 2015 and beyond. So again, this is Soul Politics. Thanks for listening, and just enjoy some of the commentary that I have with my uncle about ways we can actually move forward as a people. This is Soul Politics.
So Brooklyn, it used to be all Italian, say.
Right.
Over the years, it become, after about 40 years, it became Italian, black, and it became kind of mixed. And then all of a sudden, another 40 years, it turns back to all Italian, say.
Right.
Right. Well, that's what it's going to take for people to deal with racism, aggression. As years and years go by, eventually, you're going to start seeing that people are going to start, these younger kids, they don't look at black and white no more. It's being taught to them. Even in the black households, hey, you got to be scared of the cops. You ain't got to be scared of the cops. You got to learn how to deal with the police. We're becoming cops.
Well, do you think that it's more of an injustice to us that we don't see black and white? Do you think that there's a true benefit to segregation? Now, I don't agree that we should be segregated. I do think that resources should be segregated. I think the fact that we don't own any, and the fact that we are so far down the ladder in the economic stream of America, that by adapting to a new modern reality, by saying, hey, guess what? We don't see color anymore. We're all one. That's well and good. The problem with being all one is that the other one still owns 90% of everything you're trying to achieve. So while you both stand in the playground together and don't see race, the other one goes home to a true reality of the American dream, and you go home to a circumvented one that doesn't truly benefit your ideals. So yes, in America, if you're black, you can truly be whatever you want to be, within reason. So, that being said, you might have to wait 50 presidents to get one.
Right.
You might have to wait 7 generations to actually become a CEO. You might have to wait 4 generations to not end up incarcerated or dead by the time you're 30. That is our reality. So,
right. But we got to change those statistics, man, by educating ourselves. But let me tell you, reparations. You know, I remember one time, it was a white guy. He told me, he goes, "Yo, Timmy, why is it that y'all call each other niggers and we can't say nigger thing?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm going to tell you why. Because if you owe me some damn money, you can't call me nigger."
Right.
You know, reparations. Look, we really, you know, we don't say that, but here's the reality. If you were to give us what we are due, somebody held somebody back from us being where we're supposed to be, I think, in this here, what we call American society. Let me tell you something. I hear a lot of times when people are talking about, you know, I'm 54. I grew up during the civil rights era.
Right.
And we were taught here in the South, you know, don't try to outdress. Don't be like showing that you can wear a suit. See, because the only thing black people mostly could do was wear. Only time they wore a suit was when they were going to church or a funeral. It wasn't for no job, because then you're trying to be uppity. And you know what? They had some boys with some K's behind the name would come get you if they even thought that you were trying to be something.
So let's fast forward 50 years. Let's fast forward. What does a college degree for a black man afford you in America in 2015?
It affords you the same thing it did 50 years ago. It just says you got a piece of paper that says you can be taught something.
Now let me ask you a question. It does mean you've applied yourself, and it does show some level of recognition that this person can be educated to a higher level of intelligence.
That's just what I said.
Right.
It shows that you can be taught something.
Right. But what it doesn't do is stop you from getting shot 16 times walking down your own block.
It doesn't.
And that in itself is what the topic of this show is about. This is soul politics.
You know, and that's the deal. You see, police need training. They need retraining. And you know something? We need to get the guns out of these hands of some of these psycho police officers. Not all of them. But we got some that, you know, hey, we need to really look in their background. Hey, have a black guy beat you down, or have somebody married your sister and you real pissed off because your daddy don't like it? You know, why are you being a police officer for real? You know?
Is the boogeyman real?
You know, the boogie...
Is the boogeyman real? So we tell the children, listen, you better be afraid of the boogeyman. Spanish people tell them be afraid of chupacabra. Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
The person under the bed, the people under the stairs. Don't make me put you in the closet with the scary monster. You better go to sleep, right? They've never seen the boogeyman, but they're afraid of him.
You know why? Because then somebody has put that in their mental.
Okay.
And you know something? When the people are psychologically, you know, that's how people are ruled, through the mental.
1,000%.
Come on, man. If I seen you get beat down for something, I ain't gonna do it.
So from Birth of a Nation, right? You're very familiar. You're my uncle. You're my mentor. We're very familiar with the movie A Birth of a Nation, correct? When the Ku Klux Klan created a movie in order to give the Klan motivation on how to keep Negroes afraid, okay? And to also breed Negro fear into white people. To have people afraid of a 13-year-old boy who would potentially walk past, rape and pillage their daughter, and then go into the house, steal everything, and come back tomorrow with his colored cousins and do the same thing to all of your family. They bred this fear, they bred this hate into people who didn't have a compass to understand the difference. They were very confined to their reality. This wasn't a point where you can go on the internet and see black people mowing their lawns in beautiful neighborhoods. No. You had certain sects, right? And then they went into these areas, these rural areas where, you know, you might see, and now keep in mind, off topic, the black people walking around then weren't walking around with hoodies, jeans, and their pants sagging. They were wearing suits going to church.
Right.
These weren't like people walking around with backhoes and pitchforks and all type of nonsense coming to seem aggressive. No. They were peaceful. They walked with top hats and suits, and they were marching, singing songs. Okay? They wanted to be included. Keep in mind, black people have never fought to be greater. We've only fought to be equal. We've never stood on any rock and said, we want more than what you have. No. We said we just want the same. You have a school. We want to be educated as well. We don't want to be limited. You got the right to vote. We want to vote. Why can't we?
See, I don't want equality. I just want my human right, and that's a natural right. And you know something, equality. And then I mean, just as human beings, like I said, shoot, man, we got more in common than what we have differences.
Agreed.
But
This is soul politics.
and let me tell you, man, so many of us, they call it the crab effect, and like Willie Lynch said, let one do a little better.
Right.
And one black do a little better, like we call them the house black.
Okay. Can we use Jay-Z as that faction?
Jay-Z.
Can we use Bill Cosby as that faction? Because when does do black people have a moral compass to then refer their wealth or their success back to their community? Or is that a farce? Is it good enough to just become independently successful so that other minorities or other black people can then stand from afar, look at you, and say, oh my God, that is phenomenal. He's a winner. I want to be like the winner. Let me do everything in my power to achieve what the winner has instead of the winner.
Well, let me tell you,
right.
I think that Jay-Z, aka Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, he contributes a lot more to for his people than what is really talked about. Especially on Mother's Day. You got to check him out on Mother's Day. He does a lot of big things and a lot of other things. He gives children tickets. Bill Cosby, icon. Trying to be tore down. The bottom line, though, is that these are our heroes. Like Jay-Z may not be a hero in your era, but for other kids, it's like, wow, him and Russell Simmons and people like that. You know what? They're iconic. But you know what? As a direct result, they are showing others what they can be and what they can do. I promise you. You know what? Somebody's being motivated by those two men. Now, they broke off into so many different entities, such as designers and so on, like Sean Puffy Combs. Now these guys are going, hey, man, I want to be a designer. They're opening doors for a lot of the youth.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. They really are. And how they're doing it, it may not be like the traditional freaking way of doing it.
Agreed.
But this is how we do it. You know?
That's a dope rebuttal. That is probably the best laid out argument in their defense that I've heard as yet. Because Jay-Z, Sidney Poitier called out Jay-Z and said Jay-Z is not engaged enough into the movement in order to motivate the people. Jay-Z in response then stated, my presence in itself is a motivational faction. The fact that I brought Oprah to Marcy Projects should inspire more people than me walking down the street with a sign that says we shall overcome. And there were a lot of people who got on Jay-Z and say, hey, listen, you saying that you being present is a great enough achievement to motivate someone doesn't essentially help the struggle. I just think they might be referencing a different struggle. The struggle of 1963 is a different struggle in 2015. The struggle now is how to re-educate. We have become so far, been so far removed through intentional drugging of communities, intentional playing on the addictions of communities, intentional poverty, intentional lack of resources. All of these industries that have allowed black people to become dependent instead of empowered have set us back 50 years.
Viola Davis from Montgomery, Alabama, she stated on the awards, she said, if we were given an opportunity, I loved it. I'll stop right there. A lot of times, and I want to bring this out on Soul Politics, there is no such thing as luck. Okay? They say preparation meets opportunity. So I always say those who prepare, when the opportunity comes, they stand a greater chance of a super achievement. So therefore, there's no such thing as luck. So our people need to prepare for whatever. You know what I'm saying? For whatever. And I'm gonna break down some things like, down here, I'm in the Bible Belt. Everything is about the Holy Bible.
Right.
Trust you me, everything now that's Muslim and move is totally wrong.
Right.
And